Today we're going to be talking about the Vinted method. Now it's 2025 and everyone's trying to make a bit of money online. Whether you've already got a full-time job and you're trying to make some money on the side, whether you're studying, whatever it is, having some extra income coming from an online source is something that I think everyone would say would be helpful. Now today I'll be talking about the Vinted method in 2025 and how you can exploit this to make thousands over the next month or next few months. And let me tell you, the Vinted method isn't going anywhere. There are so many niches, there are so many products, more and more people are starting to buy secondhand. Their fashion, accessories, tech nowadays, everything is moving across to the secondhand market because people are realizing just how much cheaper you can get stuff. So this method is well and truly here to stay. I'm going to be breaking this video down into 4 different sections. Number 1, what is the Vinted method? Number 2, how to get started with the Vinted method. Number 3, what you should actually be buying, what products should be picking up to sell for profit. And number 4, how to get sales on Vinted. How can you maximize the amount of items you're getting out the door and actually make profit on the items you're buying. So in terms of what the method is, basically it involves buying items on Vinted and then selling them back onto Vinted, maybe Vinted, Depop, eBay at a higher price. And that sounds really simple, and honestly it is a very simple business model. It's just buying things and selling them for more expensive. But there's a lot of factors that go into it, such as what you're buying, how much you're paying for the items, how you're listing your items, how you're taking your photos, that are all going to determine whether or not you're successful doing this. Now you might see loads of things on TikTok, Instagram, people saying I bought this and sold it for X, how I make this much on Vinted, and I just want to basically break it down as simply as possible, how you can actually start from knowing nothing to taking this to a pretty serious business. So in terms of getting started actually doing this, there's a few things that you're going to want to bear in mind. Firstly, I'd recommend setting aside a certain amount of money that you're willing to invest into Vinted reselling. Even opening a separate bank account is a very good idea. It doesn't have to be a business account, it can just be any account that's dedicated to Vinted reselling, and put a specific amount of money in there to start with. So you're playing with money that you're happy to have tied up in stock. Now something I would definitely recommend if you're just getting started is go through your wardrobe, find some old shoes, find some old clothes, find your old iPhone, laptop, whatever, list them up and recuperate some money from them, and then use whatever money you were able to gather from your old stuff to then reinvest into buying things for profit. This way it means you're not risking any of your regular money that you're earning from your day job or whatever, and it's going to make it a whole lot easier. Now I'm not saying it's a risky business model, all I'm saying is money that you buy in stock is going to be tied up, whether it's just for a week, whether it's for 2 weeks. You might make some bad buys and it ends up being tied up for a month. You need to be happy with that before you start. But if you do this right, you'll have stock in and out the door within days. So there's nothing to worry about there. So what should you be actually buying when it comes to reselling? And this is an age-old question that there is really no answer to, because honestly, you can make profit in any particular niche. But what I am going to talk about is getting your own niche. You want to be focusing on reselling products within the same category or within a couple of categories. For example, rather than jumping onto Vinted and buying anything and everything, I would recommend setting a few brands or types of products that you're particularly interested in. So an example of a brand niche would be, for example, Ralph Lauren. If you've got a lot of knowledge in Ralph Lauren, then I would stick to Ralph Lauren, try and grow that to its full capacity. You're picking up as much as you can and selling as much Ralph Lauren as you can before expanding. An example of a product style niche would be jorts. You could niche down to embroidered jorts across different brands. You know, you could get Ed Hardy, you could get Polar, you could get Carhartt, you could get Stussy. All of these jorts within different brands, but they all fit under the same niche of baggy jorts. This means you're building a knowledge and understanding of a particular niche. Now this is so important for many reasons. Firstly, you're going to be able to gain so much understanding of what things sell for, what you need to buy things for, and by the time you've bought 10, 15 items in these niches and sold them, you're then going to be able to work out your pricing strategy so much more accurately just from your previous sales and buys. Now, although what you should buy is a massively open question, I will give you some recommendations for niches which are really good right now as of 2025. So, obviously, niches are going to change summer to winter, and this is natural. People don't want to be buying big puffer jackets in the middle of summer, and also they're not going to be piling in shorts over the winter. So you need to adapt your niche as the seasons change. So over the winter, some of the things you can be buying are coats, jackets, joggers, very, very good. You can make a lot of money in brands such as Nike and Ralph Lauren, but one thing I would recommend is trying to be as specific as possible and go for things that have as little saturation as possible. So for example, you could delve into mountain equipment puffers or Patagonia or Rab puffers. These are all very, very specific hiking, walking brands. They have very expensive retails due to the immense quality. This is going to mean that they also have very, very good resale values. You know, if they're on the shelves at $2.50, you're going to be able to get £80, £90 for them second hand. And the thing is with these different niches, they have a different audience selling them. For example, if I was to stereotype really specifically here, someone selling a Patagonia puffer jacket might be a middle-aged man who's into walking. He might not have the same knowledge of resale value as someone who's selling a Stussy hoodie, for example, who's maybe 16 to 18 and knows a lot about the streetwear market. So what this means is, because they don't have as much knowledge of the resale market, they're going to list stuff a lot cheaper. They're not going to know the value of the items they have, and you're going to be able to buy them a lot easier to profit from. So we've kind of discovered what you should buy. Now we're going to move on to how you should buy. Now personally, I always use a Vinted monitor. Vinted monitors allow for so much more possibility to pick items up than doing it manually. And in fact, I actually created a Vinted monitor, which is probably the best on the market. It's got like a 1/1,000,000th of a second refresh rate, and items will actually show up on the Vinted monitor before they show up on Vinted, meaning you can get them before anyone else, which is pretty unheard of. The best thing about the Vinted monitor, which I've created, is it's got a fast buy button. So you can sit on the monitor, press the fast buy button without going to Vinted, without going through all the payment page. You've already bought the item with the click of one button. Included with the monitor, there's also 40-page plus price guides, hours of video educational content teaching you how to resell, an incredibly supportive community, and 24-hour support from myself and the other team working on the monitor, helping you along your journey and assisting you with things such as legit check advice. But in terms of using the monitor and picking up items, I think the best thing to do is just show you me doing it. So let's cut to that. Gonna flick through a few different categories. Obviously got the fast buy button. If I click that, it's literally bought. I don't even need to go to any checkout pages. We'll get a live profit total running as well, so we know exactly how much we're making here. That'll be very good. Yeah, we got them. Yeah, there they are in a 6.5. It's 55 quid. 11 favourites, I got them in a 6. Paid 15. Yeah, do you know what? I'm buying them for £7. Obviously, they're going to clean up into 30. Oh, Wild Horse. Yeah, I'll be buying them. Sell the Wild Horses so well. £10.18. Yeah. 3 pairs of Sambas and a pair of Wild Horses in half an hour. Now, when it comes to getting sales on Vinted, there's a lot of things you can do to increase your ability to sell things quicker and at a higher price. Photography is so important, and getting good product photos can massively impact your ability to sell your items for a lot more. This is an example of a really bad photo which I took right there on my floor in my bedroom, and here's an example of a good photo which I took in the exact same place with the exact same lighting. I just positioned the item better and did a bit of editing, and this is really simple to do. Now, selling on Vinted is great and you can pump out a lot of sales through Vinted, but if you diversify across to Depop and eBay, then you start to sell a lot more across the board because you're diversifying your selling platform. And the single best way to do this is through a cross-lister. I use something called Seller Aider, which allows you to cross-list items directly from Vinted across to eBay and Depop, literally like that, with a click of a button. So easy, and it means that I can just get so many more eyes on my products because people are seeing them across different platforms. And it just eliminates all that time you spend, you know, uploading the photos across different platforms, writing the titles, writing the descriptions, etc. Included with Seller Aider, there's also a Grow bot, which allows you to automatically send offers out to buyers. This is really beneficial because when someone favorites your item, you're creating an interaction with them, and it's going to drive more sales as well, which is a great strategy to get more items off the shelves. Now, if you sign up to Seller Aider with the link in my bio, you're going to get a free trial and $8 off your first month, so it's pretty much a no-brainer. When it comes to sending your items out, this is so simple. Whack them in a bag, present them as nicely as possible so your buyers are more likely to leave a 5-star review, because reviews across all platforms are so crucial. You know, as soon as someone sees good reviews, they're way more likely to buy, and you can improve the amount of 5-star reviews you're getting just by packing your items well. Send them out quickly, and you're going to get more money in the bank to reinvest again and absolutely crush this Vinted reselling method. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, then hit subscribe, follow myself on Instagram, Follow my Vinted monitor, Auto Flipped, on Instagram. And if you want to get some money off your first month on the Vinted monitor, then use this code. It's not going to be around forever, so be quick. Thanks for watching, guys.